Hello everyone, so this is GS Mains Paper 2, August 2017, Part 3. Okay, let's start. So the first topic, which will be the 14th topic overall of August 2017, is government advertisements and taxpayers' money. So now what is the issue? Now when you will read this particular issue now, when we will talk about this issue, you will realize that it is important from prelims point of view also. How? We will talk about it. But more majorly it is important from mains point of view. Now see, the thing is, what is happening with these government advertisements? They are used to develop personality cults at the expense of taxpayers' money, right? You go everywhere, you will see big hoardings, and there you will see a big man's face, right? Instead of the government's, what do you say, government symbol or anything like that, right? Right now what is happening? Again, we are deviating from the topic, but right now what is happening? We don't see BJP, right? We see a single person. We don't see AAP. We have a personality cult there. So again, we don't see AIADMK. We see a lady who has died. So the thing is, everything is reduced to a personality cult. Every party, government is also being reduced to a personality cult, and that should not be the case. Especially our exchequer's money should not be used to develop personality cults. Okay. Now see, again the next point is recommendations by NS Madhava Menon Committee to introduce checks on government funded advertisements, right? Remember this name of this committee, NS Madhava Menon Committee, because in prelims now we have seen they have given a committee and they ask it is related to what? So NS Madhava Menon Committee is related to checks on government funded advertisement. And if any question comes on government advertisement, you can write this NS Madhava Menon Committee's name. So they have given some recommendations. Okay, and we'll talk about this. Apart from NS Madhava Menon Committee recommendations, Law Commission has also given some recommendations. Plus, there are certain guidelines which are given by Supreme Court. So first, let's talk about guidelines which are given by Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said, first guideline which they have given is, official ad should not carry name of any political party, political symbol, logo or flag. So this is the first guideline. Second guideline is, union government must constitute 3-member committee to keep check on government funded advertisement. So that is the whole case, right? Now right now they have liberalized, right? They have asked, liberalized certain people photo can be there on advertisement like honorable PM and everything. But if you ask me now, I will tell you that even if you ask anybody who is in this age group, right, they will tell you that they don't want anybody's photo, right? It should not be like that, right? It makes it feels like one particular person is doing the work. The thing is, and there is an important point which I've read some days back, that government is actually what government is. What is government doing? Government actually does nothing. Government is actually a trustee whom we have assigned a work, right? They are doing work on our behalf, right? So that is the whole thing. Government is nothing but a trustee. Remember this word, they are trustee. Okay. So the thing is, first guideline we have seen, second guideline also we have seen of Supreme Court. Now let's talk about the recommendation of 20th Law Commission. So 20th Law Commission has given some recommendation. The first recommendation is paid news and political advertisement should be regulated in RPA, Representation of People's Act. So they are saying paid news and political advertisement should be regulated in RPA, and they have given another interesting recommendation, and that is disclosure prohibition should be made mandatory for all forms of media. What does this disclosure prohibition means? It means we people have a right to know whether the type of information provided by media is a paid content or an editorial content, right? So that is called disclosure prohibition, right? So that is the second recommendation of 20th Law Commission. So again, this is all about government advertisement and taxpayers' money. This is an important topic, so do revise it thoroughly. Now let's talk about marijuana legalization. So there is a talk going on. See, again, this is a kind of a topic which if you don't know and don't study, and in exam if they ask you this question, you will feel like no, it should not be legalized. But when you read all the different points now, you will realize there are more positive points regarding legalization of marijuana as compared to not legalize it, right? When we're doing the comparison. So let's talk about it. Again, there are 3 views on marijuana legalization. One view will support it, one view will negate it, and third view will take a center stand, means in between stand, right? So let's talk about the first view, which is supporting legalization of marijuana. So the first thing which they are saying is banning of marijuana is a sweeping action which will deprive people of good things it has to offer. Okay, and they are saying that recreational use is not more than 5% of marijuana, right? People don't use it, like only 5% people use it for recreational purpose, or only 5% of marijuana is being used for recreational purpose. The rest 99% is being used for medicinal purpose. It has medicinal values. Also, it is also used in semiconductor industry, as you will see further. So that's the whole thing. Now, China is investing few $billion in developing different strains of marijuana plant towards several objectives. So they're not stupid if they're investing few $billion, right? There has to be certain reasons behind it. Okay, now marijuana has unlimited use in diverse fields, including in the field of semiconductor. So we have seen two fields where they have diverse uses, right? Semiconductor and medicine, right? Now again, there's a state in our country which is called Odisha, and in Odisha, weed is still legal. So it is also used for holy purposes. So if we are, means what do you say? If you're not legalizing it, then they're condemning those holy purposes also, right? They are also becoming illegal offenses, those holy purposes. Now let's talk about the second view, which is opposing the legalization of marijuana. So they are saying is cannabis is poisonous for both soul and mind. It creates a false world of pleasure, right? And they are hoping and praying for a society where happiness is derived from humor and friendship, social interactions and bonding, altruism and philanthropy, sports and adventures, and not make-believe pleasures with a massive toll on health, right? So they are saying that we should not derive pleasures from these kind of a thing, and it is poisonous for both soul and mind, and that's why it should not be legalized. Now let's talk about the center view or the third view. Now the thing is, what will happen when you will see that this third view is actually taking a stand in which they are promoting legalization of marijuana. Let's talk about the third view. So third view is saying that criminalization of a commodity as widespread as cannabis makes little economic, social or legal sense. Medical use of cannabis is recorded in books like Shushrut Samhita. So again, Shushrut Samhita, Charat Samhita, right? So medical use of cannabis is recorded in books like Shushrut Samhita. Bhang, ganja and charas, they are products of cannabis plant, right? And they are enlisted in Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945 for use in Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani medicine. Ayush is Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, what is this? S, Siddha, Homeopathy. But again, I think I am missing something. So Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. So again, Ayush, remember one thing when we are talking about Ayush is a separate ministry now. Earlier it was under Ministry of Health now, but now it is a separate ministry. So they are saying that this Bhang, Ganja and Charas, they are they're enlisted under Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945. So all in all, there are more points in favor of marijuana legalization as compared to those points which are opposing it, right? So you can, if you have to say, then you have to finally end your views on saying that it has to be legalized because it has medicinal purposes, as well as it has use in various semiconductor semiconductor industry, as well as China is also investing lots of $1 billion in marijuana, right? So we cannot be lagging behind. If China is doing something, we have to do it. Okay, moving on. Now let's talk about a sad story, that is Gorakhpur tragedy in healthcare system. Now there were 3 very good articles written on it, and I have summarized all the 3 articles. Okay, and again I have reiterated it again and again that life is very cheap in our country. So what people do, what rich people do, or middle to rich people do in our country, though they go abroad. No, that is not the only solution. What you can do also is you can stay in this country, you can reform this country from inside. Okay, and since you people are preparing for IAS, right? So you are trying to do the same, right? You're trying to improve people's life's worth, right? Okay, so let's talk about Gorakhpur tragedy in healthcare system. So the Gorakhpur tragedy demands a prompt inquiry and a holistic healthcare overall, right? Death of more than 60 children in a span of a few days in a major referral hospital in UP has jolted the conscience of the nation, right? Appropriate movement for center and state to consider their poor record. Trail even other developing economies such as neighboring Thailand and some African countries in moving to universal healthcare, right? We have to move to universal healthcare. Even poorer countries have moved to healthcare, means universal healthcare, and we are not doing the same. I was reading an article a few days back where I've read that healthcare is a state subject. Remember it, healthcare is a state subject, and now states are reducing expenditure on healthcare. Can you imagine that? There was a data which was given that UP has now less number of primary health cares as opposed to what they had 10 years ago. So that is the case of our healthcare system. The healthcare system should be non-commercial and regulated to contain costs, giving everyone affordable access to doctors, diagnostic and treatment. So this was the first article. There was another article written on this particular topic only, healthcare system. What that article is saying is equity in access to doctors, diagnostic and medicines for rural India must be a priority, right? Majority of people, India is a rural country, right? So access to healthcare in those areas must be a priority. Now, extraordinary patient load on a few referral hospitals. Now, this Gorakhpur tragedy happened because there was extraordinary patient load on a few referral hospitals, right? So, if healthcare access is improved, all these things will be, these kind of incidents will reduce. Okay, now CAG audit, Controller and Auditor General audit, right? Now I have in the earlier videos I have told you which articles deal with CAG, article 148 to 151. So CAG audit found 50% of PHCs in UP did not have a doctor. 50% of primary healthcare centers in UP, they did not have a doctor, while 13 states had significant level of vaccines. What do you say? Not vaccines, that is vacancies, right? So 13 states had significant level of vacancies. So again, in UP, 50% of PSCs don't have a doctor, and in other 13 states, they have significant level of vacancies, right? So that is the whole thing. There are certain words which are tongue twisters, aren't they? Okay, so let's move on to the next topic again, but the thing is, we are still left with the third topic on healthcare system. So let's talk about what this third topic is saying on the healthcare system. So they are saying is we need to find ways to make market-based healthcare more affordable. Now see, right now we are talking about universal healthcare. Now we also talk about that it should be totally owned by the government. Government should provide free healthcare, right? But here in this article, they will argue that market-based healthcare is also fine, but it should be reasonably priced. So they are saying that we need to find ways to make market-based healthcare more affordable. Now, free healthcare is not a real solution to affordability, they are saying. Now, again, they are giving a very great example, and you can use this example in your exam. What they are saying is, irony that goods such as cell phones and cars, which are considered luxury and thus left to the market, have become affordable to a larger population over time, right? Or at the same time, healthcare has largely remained unaffordable to vast majority of people. See, cell phone and cars, we assumed that it was a luxury item, right? It was privatized, but now it has become affordable to a larger population. Similarly, if we privatize healthcare also at a reasonable price, so maybe it will also reach a larger population. So that's what the article is saying. Okay. So let's now talk about the next topic. Now the next topic is All India Judicial Service. Again, this is a topic. Again, see, remember one thing. If you don't remember which commission recommended it, always try to write law commission, because more or less every law commission recommends each and everything, right? So again, this All India Judicial Service was also mooted by law commission in 1950s. Now again, the thing is, what this article is saying is All India Judicial Service will not serve the purpose or not serve the issues which is existing in, or will not resolve the issues which are existing in judiciary, because problem is something else and you are giving a solution of an entirely different nature. So they are saying is centralizing recruitment will not address the multiple problems of the judiciary. And this idea of All India Judicial Service was first mooted by Law Commission in 1950s. And AIJS does not adequately diagnose the problem, which are AIJS is All India Judicial Service, right? And they are saying is they will not adequately diagnose the problem. Why? Because there are two reasons for it. First reason is, barring a few islands of excellence, almost no effort has gone into improving the standard of legal education across the country. So they are saying that standard of legal education is very poor in our country. So if you are framing All India Judicial Service or not, it will not improve the standard of legal education. So that is the first problem. The second problem is, within incredibly small talent pool, judiciary competes by offering very unremunerative pay and limited avenues for career advancement. We have a very limited talent pool in judiciary, and those people are getting very less or very unremunerated pay. So that is the issue. Again, here AIJS cannot do anything. So these are the two issues which are confronting judiciary. Two major issues. First issue is standard of legal education is not very high. Second education is we have a very small talent pool and we are paying very less amount of pay to them as compared to what is paid around the world, right? So these two issues will not be resolved by AIJS. So it is not a panacea for all. So that is the thing. Now let's talk about Censorship and Criminal Procedure Code. Again, this is a very important issue because they have given a particular section. Again, if you reiterate it, any question on censorship or press or media, if it comes and you give this particular clause now, it will help your case. So what is the article all about? They are saying that censorship exists in India to the extent it does because it is both easy and efficient to accomplish. And why it is both easy and efficient to accomplish? Because there is a section in CrPC which is called section 95, which allows government to ban publications without having to prove before a court of law that any law has been broken. So they don't have to prove anything and they can ban your book. So suppose you are an author, you wrote a book and government does not like it, they can ban that particular book under section 95 of CrPC and they don't need to prove anything. So the thing is, the article is saying that we need to repeal this section 95 and take the power of banning books out of the hands of the government. So that will curb censorship to a certain extent, right? So that is the whole thing. Okay. Let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is a glance at India's foreign relations. Okay, here we'll talk about different relations. We'll just talk about simple topics like what is the issue and what are the good points about India-America relationship, India-Israel relationship, and what China-Pakistan presents problems for us, right? What are the issues which we need to confront right now? So let's talk about it. Now, India's relation with USA. So there are two major points regarding it. First thing is USA is a major defense partner of us, right? Second thing is there has been a confirmation of sale of Guardian unmanned aerial system to India, which is reflecting the deepening security and defense cooperation, right? So again, this is the whole thing. Earlier there were certain issues. Now H1B visa is an issue, right? That has to be sorted out, right? Because services is a sector where we do well, right? All over the world, and H1B visa restriction is hampering our export to a certain extent. So that is the whole thing. But right now, defense is going on fine with USA. Now let's talk about Israel. Now Israel has always complained that it has been treated as a mistress by India, but now with our honorable PM's visit, so that thing has been cleared once and for all, right? Now we have established formal relationship with Israel in 1992, and our PM was PM Narasimha Rao, right? Now the thing is, what is happening with Israel? Israel is a very reliable partner. Now Israel has supplied critical defense items during Kargil conflict, and it was an excellent example of true bilateral friendship. Now, what is the way forward and what are the issues which are confronting Indian diplomacy? Indian diplomacy currently needs to find a way to steer amid an assertive China, hostile Pakistan, an uncertain South Asian and West Asian neighborhood, and an unstable world, right? So that is the main issue of our Indian diplomacy. Okay. Now let's talk about SHGs and SGSY. Now what is SGSY and what is SHGs? SHGs are self-help groups. And what is SGSY? That is Swan Jayanti Gram Sarojgar Yojana. So any question which comes from self-help groups, you have to write two names. If you include these two names, that will be good for you. First is SGSY, we'll talk about it, what it is. And the second is Kudumba Shri, which happens in Kerala, which is a project of Kerala. Okay, let's talk about. So the thing is, best example of role of SHG in poverty elimination is Swan Jayanti Gram Sarojgar Yojana. When did it was launched? It was launched in 1999 under my favorite PM, that is Atal Bihari Vajpayee. What was the aim of SGSY? It was aimed at providing self-employment to villagers by creating lots of self-help groups, and it is the best example of self-help groups in poverty elimination in our country. So if a question comes on SHGs, even if you don't write Kudumba Shri, do write SGSY. Similarly, Kudumba Shri project of Kerala is a successful female-oriented community-based poverty reduction program. Okay, so I will keep until here only because the last video was very long. This has also become long because there are lots and lots of topic to cover, and I want to cover it in least a number of videos, right? Okay, so I will wrap it here. Thank you. God bless you all.